Hey, shalom, shalom, Akim, shalom. All right, so before I get started, I want to give all the praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahahadash. A double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone have taught us this truth is constantly ruling well through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Shalom to the sincere brothers, the believers that's pushing his word in truth and sincerity, that's not wavering to the left nor to the right, but constantly staying on that straight and narrow, fighting for your crowns. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners that may be scattered abroad throughout the other nations, and shalom to the few sisters. And in these times that we are living in, we must give honor and glory to our powers, calling on their holy names, the name of the Heavenly Father. True name is Yahweh, okay, who the world ignorantly calls God, Jehovah, okay, and the name of his beloved Son, his name is Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And when you call on those holy names, you must say Yahweh, Bahashem, means in the name of his beloved Son, Yahweh Shai, okay, and say the water for opening our minds, giving us this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in the last days that we are truly living in. And I'm going to entitle this lesson. Bear with me for a second. Get this fixed. All right. I'm entitling this lesson BRICS versus SWIFT. Okay. Basically, Russia's payment plan to guard against the U.S. sanction versus SWIFT. All right. And because a lot of times when we hear about sanctions, we don't really know what they're talking about unless we actually look into them. Okay, sanctioning from what? All right, so what did the U.S. pretty much put a sanction on, which was Russia? Okay, and what was those sanctions including? Okay, so some of these sanctions that were included were severing Russia's largest financial institution, SB Bear Bank from the U.S., freezing the assets of Russia's second largest financial institution, VTB Banks, and 3 other major Russian banks in the U.S., blocking several other Russian banks and companies, including the world's largest natural gas company, from working with the U.S. Okay, so, it's a target on finances. Okay, and Russia, having SWIFT. Okay, what Swift is, we're going to get into that because it's good to look into what exactly these acronyms mean, okay, and understanding how is it going to impact, all right, really the people, all right, because Swift being one of the largest telecommunication networks out there, okay, going back into, I believe, the 70s. It what it does is anytime that you want to go to a bank and you want to withdraw money, okay, it sends forth your information back from different banks, okay. So imagine they get in this sanction, and imagine half of the U.S., right, and they go to their banks and they're getting stopped by the clerk or whoever, and they're telling you, oh well, the system is down, we cannot issue any money out. Even though you have money in the bank, we can't issue out any money, we can't do any payments right now, and no matter where you go, you're getting the same response. Okay, so this causes what people to come into an uproar, all right, because that's what Swift is about. Swift tells the banks who you are, how much money you have, and when they get that information, you're able to add money or take your money out. Okay, so it causes a problem. Not only does is it going to cause a problem between the Russian people, all right, but it's also going to cause a certain issue between these other countries. Okay, which is the reason why BRICS plays an important role, because BRICS um, is what Russia used. He aligned himself with different countries, which is I believe is BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China, and then South Africa. Okay, that's what BRICS stands for. Okay, so they created what we like to say is a safety measure or a backdoor way to still make trades and still utilize being able to do certain deals. Okay, so let's get into this thing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start with Job chapter 9 verse 24, because what we're talking about is the Edomites in power. Okay, so we have the western side, which is the Americas. Okay, which you have the elites of the Americas. I the elites, all right, which are Edomites. Okay, which have power. Okay, then you have the European Edomites, which also the elite bigger families. And you have the Russian Edomites. Okay, and right now they're at war with each other. Okay. All right, because right now there's major talks on who's going to be the top dog moving forward into this new world agenda. Okay, so but let's dive into this. Job 9:24 says, "The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covers the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" All right, so the wicked, all right, is the nation of Edom. Okay, and the judges that he have ultimately covered was Yahweh Shai. Okay, Yahweh Shai is our ultimate judge. Okay, and that's why people today believe in white supremacy, which is Christianity. Okay, where they used our book against our people, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians. Okay, to have you believing in a false doctrine or a false god. Okay, now the Edomites are in rulership, and they're able to exemplify these certain moves. Okay, because Swift, if you don't know nothing about Swift, Swift is actually found in Belgium. Okay, when you actually look into what Swift is. So I have this article right here that we're going to read into. Also, I'm going to go into BRICS versus Swift, showing you that, because this came out back in 2019. It gives you some of the history on what the reason why Russia came up with this payment plan in order to guard against U.S. sanctions. Okay, so before I do that, um, let's go over here to Habakkuk, the second chapter. Okay, this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. It says, "Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man." All right, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell. So we know that Esau has his hand in these other nations. Okay, back door. All right, now how can he get these other nations to comply? It's not only through force. It doesn't have to always be through force. It could be through finances, being able to cut off your how you make money. Okay, and how you um um yeah, pretty much your finance, how you make money. Okay, so him having his banks, okay, and certain people being in debt, certain countries being in debt. All right, this is how they're able to bring certain countries to their knees. Okay, to bring you down. All right, and to make you comply, because when you have when you have your citizens not able to access money, and you can't have a constant flow of transactions throughout the economy, it slows the economy down. When you can't make certain deals with certain countries, is going to slow down your economy. Okay, so this is how he brings certain nations to their knees. All right, it says, "He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people." Okay, so this is how he heapeth unto him all people. So of course it's through his military, but it's also through him having control of these different financial institutions. All right, that are all throughout Europe and all throughout the world. Okay. um, It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, saying, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, and that thick clay we know goes back into debt, heavy debt that the people are under. Okay, so not only are the people here in America under that thick clay, that heavy debt, but also people around the world are under that debt. Okay, as well, that system as well. All right, now I have a video. We're gonna watch this video real fast so we can bring, Lord willing, some edification out of that. Let me see if I can find it. I don't have. Oh, here it is, right here. Here it is. See if this will play.
Leanne Stewart, Global Energy Economist and Cornerstone Macro. Thanks for your time tonight.
Hey, good evening. Actually, it's Piper Sandler now. We were acquired by the Piper Sandler Bank, so just a small correction. My apologies.
No worries. Let me ask you about Canada and then actually North America and how much this country first relies, if it does at all, on Russian gas or oil.
I mean, to be really, really crass, right? And I feel for your guest that you had on just now. But if we limit this conversation to just pure economics and business, just to again be very clear.
And brothers, let me know if y'all can't hear it. Let me know if there's anything that's going on, messing with the live. Give me a heads up, Papa Kusha.
This is good for Canada. This is good for America. Both Canada and America have a lot of oil. Very few places outside of Russia have the ability to grow their oil and gas supplies, and the world now needs to grow those supplies.
But does that or can that happen quickly if Canada needs or America needs to ramp up?
I think Canada now is a better argument for getting passage of the XL pipeline, right? It won't happen quickly, but that's why we have strategic petroleum reserves. And the Europeans have strategic petroleum reserves. But you now, as an industry and as a national decision-making apparatus, have to count on the supplies from Russia becoming tainted. We will see what sanctions get leveled. We will see whether President Putin chooses to use energy exports as a weapon. Because what you saw in the oil market today was that the flow of oil and the flow of gas from Russia is still going. That's why when prices initially spiked, they came down again. And
so we know that Russia is actually supplying various parts of Europe with their gas. Okay, now as he mentioned, see, Russians can retaliate by raising up prices, using it as a weapon against these different European countries. So if they throw these sanctions on Russia, there's going to be a backlash behind it. Okay, and it's all a power move. Okay, it's a power play. All right, because Russia is not going to back down of them invading into certain regions of the Ukraine for them to, fulfill the operation to help out the Ukrainian people to get rid of the oppression, okay, and the corrupt militarization that has been placed in there, okay, for over 8 years now. All right, so a lot is going to transpire behind this. Okay, this whole sanction and the situation that is taking place. This is a major situation. It's not going to lead up to World War III as of yet, but it is going to draw it's going to draw us even closer into that time.
Now relatively unchanged in the high 90s because the Russian oil for now is flowing. If that were to stop to any degree, then the world has a problem.
Let me ask you about what else, if anything, we rely on Russia for.
Well, several things, because so we have oil, we have gas, we have oil products, especially diesel and gas oil. We then have from Belarus potash, which you in Canada know an awful lot about. We will have eventually to worry about the grain harvest in Ukraine. We have aluminum. We have
you see what he just mentioned. We will have eventually to worry about the grain harvest in Ukraine, all right? And that's what people really want, is that grain harvest, all right? You know what I mean? Because that's something that deals with the food supply, okay? No grain, no certain breads, no certain things that you can use grain for, all right? So it's just you got to keep your eyes on these things because they're going after resources, they're going after certain things in these countries, all right? And the what they're pushing on the news is bigger than what they're saying is just World War III. Is bigger than that, all right?
Coal, we have iron ore, we have all sorts of stuff coming out of Russia. Incidentally and additionally, especially Europe sells a lot to Russia. So the economic ramifications of what is now happening, are very many.
So Europe obviously closely aligned because of the geography here. What countries specifically in Europe you think will feel this the most? I know Germany's one of them.
Well, I mean, what your prior guest suggested was to embargo Russian energy exports. That would be shooting yourself in both feet if you are any one country in Europe. Now, what exports a lot to Russia, including its former prime ministers, and who buys in Moscow an awful lot of German advanced, very expensive cars that would be the Russian elite. France has a habit of selling an awful lot of stuff to Russia, but also lending to Russia. One reason why you don't want to turf the Russians out of SWIFT is because your own banks will go belly up, right? So there's more than meets the eye in the relationship, in terms of relationships with Russia, even after all the sanctions that have been put in place since 2014.
Expand for me, please, about SWIFT because it seems to be held back, as you mentioned, because it's a complicated system that could also impact other financial institutions. Can you give me a for example?
It's not that complicated, right? It is literally the network that all commercial banks and all commercial financial institutions use to do business. So if you turf Russia out of that, then everything and everyone that does business with Russia, private institutions, giant banks, and so on, will have real trouble doing business with Russia. You lose that much business, and the Russians lose the ability to pay. What happens to all the debt that was written and is owned by Russian entities? The beauty of the thoroughly intertwined network of commercial relations that we have had around the world since Bretton Woods in 1943 is that everything is quite literally intertwined. If you hurt the other person, you automatically hurt yourself.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what it is. So not only does this impact Russia, but it's also going to impact those neighboring European countries that do business with Russia. Okay, and that's why it's a double-edged sword. All right, that is taking place. Okay, now let me get this. Let's go into this article right here. It says, "What is SWIFT?" All right, now this is from the U.S. Today. What is SWIFT? How could banning Russia from the banking system impact the country? Okay, which just came out February 24th, 2022, year of Yahweh by Shimon Shai turning up. Okay, it says the White House announced Saturday that the United States and allies agreed to block select Russian banks from SWIFT, the global financial messaging system, in a joint statement with leaders of the European Commission, France, Germany, Italy, the United Kingdom, Canada. The officials said Russia being excluded from SWIFT ensured that these banks are disconnected from the international financial system and harms their ability to operate globally. It says the announcement comes after President Joe Biden on Thursday told reporters that the penalties from the latest round of sanctions against Russia are maybe more consequences than SWIFT. What does it mean for Russia to be kicked out of the SWIFT banking system? Here's what you need to know. What is the SWIFT financial system? SWIFT stands for the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. It is a global messaging system connected thousands of financial institutions around the world. So that's what SWIFT stands for. Okay, it's this major global messaging system. Okay, that connects these financial systems together. Okay, delivering your information from bank to bank. Now it says SWIFT was formed in 1973. It says, and it is headquartered in Belgium. It is It is overseen by the National Bank of Belgium. In addition to the U.S. Federal Reserve System, the European Central Bank, and others, it connects more than 11,000 financial institutions in more than 200 countries and territories worldwide. So banks can be informed about transactions. Okay, so that's what SWIFT is. Okay, um, when you go to the bank and you put your debit card in and you're trying to pull money out, is basically going to inform about the transaction, what's taking place, who are you, how much money you have, how much money you're able to take out. Okay, which a lot of times when we're seeing uproars, as the scriptures say, uproars of the people. Let me grab that real fast. Go to another scripture. Uproars of the people. Let me see. uh, when we're seeing uproars of the people, it's because of financial issues within the country. All right, and that's how you get the people, okay, to uproar. All right, when you have financial issues or financial problems. Okay, and it's a tactic that has been being done for years, man. All right, um, let me see. Let me start at verse 1. Second Ezra chapter 9, verse 1, it says, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. All right. And we know that Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is visiting the world which he made. All right. And it's all through the plagues. Okay. You know, the different what they call natural disasters, hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, all right, people going into uproars, all right, these wars and rumors of wars, okay, these plagues that were back in the time of the ancient Egypt, okay, locusts flying through different countries, tearing down their crops, all right, all you name it. Okay, the Lord is visiting this place. All right, even the prophets being raised back up in the last days to speak on the downfall, okay, of the sinful kingdom, which is known as Babylon the Great. It says, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Okay, and see, there's layers to just people uproaring. Okay, you know, why are the people uproaring? What is going on? You know, because also a lot of times they're dealing with corrupt government, all right? Because that's part of Esau's thing. He likes to take out politicians and then put his puppets into play. Okay, same thing that's going on over in Ukraine, right? Uh, Zelensky, however you say his last name, was Zelensky or whatever you say it. You know, the Ukrainian president there, you know, which was starting out as a comedian. You know, had a being in a show. Okay, and next thing you know, he's placed in the office as an actual president over Ukraine, okay, which, you know, think about it. All right. It says, for like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. So a lot of times when you're seeing these uproars of the people, they're having destabilization going on within their country, okay? And that's how the US gets down. He used the same moves over and over and over again. All right. You know, Esau so plain, he don't know how to mix up his moves, but he uses the same thing over and over in these other countries. They've the Lord is making them smarter. They're catching on, all right, to how Esau gets down. So Esau trying to use the same move. That's why Russia got smart and created a back door with these other different nations in order to fight against these kind of sanctions. Okay. Um, so let's read on a little bit more. It says Swift said it recorded 42 million messages a day on an average in 2021 and 82 million messages overall this month. That includes currency exchanges, trade, and more. It says, how could a removal from Swift affect Russia? Barring Russia from Swift would damage the country's economy right away, and in long term cut Russia off from a swath of international financial transactions that includes international profits from oil and gas production, which makes up more than 40% of Russia's revenue. It says Iran lost access to SWIFT in 2012 as part of sanctions over its nuclear program. Though many of the country banks were reconnected to the system in 2016, Veracrux told NPR that when Iran was kicked off, they lost half of their oil export revenues and 30% of their foreign trade. Now, mind you, they brought Iran back because see this is part of them getting smart, all right? Because like I mentioned, oh man, hold on, where's that? Here it is. Oh no, let me get the X that. Here it is. Here it is. Mind you, BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, uh, India, I believe it's India, and then China, and then South Africa. Okay, now Russia bringing forth this payment plan was a system to be a guard unto these different nations. Okay, just like we read in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, which Lord willing will grab. All right. So let me read a little bit of this just so you could get an understanding. All right. Russia and its BRIC partners are developing across borders alternatives to U.S. dominant payment systems such as SWIFT, driven by the rise in cross-border trade and a desire to find non-dollar alternatives to international payment systems vulnerable to sanctions by the U.S. government. Okay, so they know how the U.S. gets down, so they're looking for they created an alternative way in order to bypass when these things take place. It says the U.S. can use its might to exclude sanctioned banks and corporations from the global banking infrastructure as international banking transaction involves multiple currencies, require conversions into U.S. dollars. This necessitates the use of U.S. based intermediary banks and SWIFT, which countries such as China, Russia, Iran, and Turkey urge argue argues enables countries targeted by the latest U.S. foreign policy to be excluded from international trade. It says the lower house of Russia parliament approved the U.S. of Bank of Russia SPFS, which stands for System for Transfer of Financial Messages, System for International Transfers. The likeliest partner for this system are amongst the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. All right, so these are part of BRICS nations. So they came up with this backdoor alternative in order for them to continuously doing deals amongst each other. All right, and they were urging other nations to follow suit. Okay, so just in case the United States, I, like they told Russia, basically back off of Ukraine, and Russia's like, nah, we gonna go into Ukraine, okay, and we're gonna do this operation, and then if any of you if NATO intervenes, if the U.S. intervenes, okay, it's gonna be um, worse than something transpiring in history, which he was talking about bringing out the nukes, bringing out the big guns, all right? Which like I mentioned, everything that is transpiring, this will lead up to World War III. All right, we getting close, all right, to the end, all right. Now, going back into the U.S. today, it says right here, what have other leaders said about removing Russia from SWIFT? So Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged the U.S. and other countries to cut Russia from the system. Some nations resisted the move out of concerns for broader economy. Okay, because like the dude mentioned in the video, they're not trying to move on Russia like this, because if they move on Russia like that, you know what I mean, then it's going to affect them as well. But as the invasion wore on, more European Union's nations got on board. Early Saturday morning, Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi told Zelensky that Italy supported Russia disconnection from SWIFT, the provision of defense assistance. Several hours later, Germany, which had been the last European Union nation holding out of the sanction, offered measured support for Russia disconnection from SWIFT, according to a joint statement from German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock. and German economics minister Robert Habeck. We are working flat out on how to limit the collateral damage of a disconnection from SWIFT so that it hits the right people. Okay. The officials wrote in a statement, what we need is a targeted and functional restriction of SWIFT. All right. Basically, Emily Harbor, she basically says, at the same time, we are working flat out on how to limit the collateral damage of a disconnection from SWIFT so that it hits the right people. What we need is a targeted and functional restriction of SWIFT. All right. um, and that's pretty much it on that. All right. So that's pretty much it on that right there. So let's go back into here. All right. Well, let's leave off at. Yeah, here it is. It says Russia begins developing SPFS as a swift alternative in 2014 after the introduction of Western sanctions against Moscow for annexing the Crimea. The SPFS proposed was to prevent Russia from being cut off from the global financial system as has happened with the Iranian banks. So far, see, remember the Iranian banks show you that when you go into prophecy, when you go into prophecy, man, everything pretty much links up. All right, everything links up with what prophecy is speaking. All right, let me go over here to what is it? Jeremiah. Was it Jeremiah? Um, no, Ezekiel. That's what it is. All right, everything links up. Ezekiel 27. All right, everything links up because he's going to be a guard to these other nations. All right, and he's going to be a guard also to these African nations as well. All right, so this is Ezekiel chapter 27, verse 10. It says, "They of Persia," okay, which we know that um, in 1935, Persia's name was changed to Iran. Okay, it says, "And of Lud and of Foot were in thine army, thy men of war. They hang the shields and helmets in thee. They set forth thy comeliness." All right, so they're hanging their shields and helmets in thee. They're hanging their trust in Russia. Okay, that's who they're hanging their trust in. All right, so when war and things go down, all right, they're going to be aligned with the Russian army. Okay, and the Lud and Foot go back into these African nations. Okay, and who's a part of BRICS? South Africa. Okay. um All right, which the name of name of Lawud, which means strife, also goes back into one of the sons of Shem, okay, who settled in northern Africa, okay, and then you have Foot, also, which Powat, which means a bow, which means a nation of people of northern Africa, probably Libyans. All right, so these are people of Africa, okay, who are going to align themselves with Russia. All right, and then when you go into the oops, to the wrong thing. When you go into Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, all right. Oh, now say wanna mess with the internet, right? You go into Ezekiel the 38th chapter, it says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal." All right. And we know that through the course of history, the Edomites, what they did was they pushed out the sons of Japhet, okay, out of those lands, all right, and then they moved themselves in there, all right, pursuant to the book of um let's get it real fast, pursuant to the book of Psalms 49. We're gonna get a couple scriptures. Psalms 49. I'm gonna go there, and then also gonna go to Job, Job the 27th chapter, I believe. Let me see, Job the 27th chapter. Oh no, the 24th chapter. I'm sorry, Job the 24th chapter. Okay, this is Job chapter 24. Um, I'm sorry, verse 1. Why seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty? Do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks, they violently take away flocks and feed thereof. They drive away the asses of the fatherless, they take away the widow's ox for a pledge. Okay, you see, so they remove the landmarks of the people that were originally in that land. Okay, and they place themselves in that land. Okay, and the reason is because they have the power in their hand to do so. All right, and this is part of what Esau does, because when he comes into power, he starts changing the land after his own name. Uh, Psalms 49:11. It says their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They called their lands after their own names. All right. So when they come into these different lands, they change them into what you know as modern day places today, like Russia, which is in the land of Gog and Magog. Okay, you know, just like the land of America, all right, which is named after Leo Scipios Africanus. Uh, um, no, I'm sorry. Um, America Von Spucci, Africa was named after Leo Scipios Africanus. Forgive me, brothers. Forgive me. All right, forgive me. Little slip of the tongue. But you see, they that's what they do. Okay, they change the lands after their own names. Okay, because that's a part of them conquering. All right, just like you had Philip, who took over parts of Macedon, I believe, and he named it. He named that part of Europe after his own name. That's why you get the book of Philip, of Philippians, where the church in Philippians is the church of Philippi, which is named after King Philip, which is Alexander's father. Okay, just to go back even into that time, they were doing the same thing. And let's go over here to the book of Micah. Micah chapter 2. Okay. This is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. It says, woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it. All right. So when these devils get up, this is what they think about. How to overthrow. All right. How to take, how to conquer. Okay. What they can do to spread their influence throughout the world. Okay. This is what they think about. All right. It says, because it is in the power of their hand. All right. And what did I first start off with? Job 9:24. The earth was given into the hands of the wicked. It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. All right. And we know that also transpired, for an example, from the so-called North American Indians and so-called um, Mexicans, okay, and so-called Seminole Indians. All right, they took the lands of the Europeans, came to the lands of the so-called indigenous people, moved them out of their lands, okay, oppressed them, all right, and took over, conquered. Okay, this is how these devils operate. All right, it's all found in the scriptures. All right, who we're dealing with, the Edomites. Okay, now that's the reason why when you go into this particular prophecy in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, all right, the Lord is using Gog and Meshach, all right, but he's actually talking about the Russians. Okay, it says, and say, thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth, and all thine armies, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets. Okay, and these are again Iran, some of these African countries, all right, that align themselves with the bear, okay, with the bear, all right. And the Lord is putting them hooks into his jaw, bringing them back into that old USSR state mentality. All right, you know, because also Ukraine was also a part of Russia during that time. Okay, so if they're taking it back, they're really taking back what is rightfully theirs, anyways. It says Gomor and all his bands, the house of Togomar of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thine company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right. So the Lord has put the spirit on Russia to be a guard unto these nations, not only physically but also financially as well. All right. And that's why when Iranian banks got hit during the time with 2014, I believe, this was alternative measures in order for them to counteract, these sanctions that the U.S. was slapping on them. Okay, it says so far the SPFS has been used just for domestic interbank financial messaging within Russia, and some 500 companies, including major Russian banks, are participating in the system. It says, however, Russia has talked to China, India, Iran, and Turkey about joint uses of SPFS, according to Reuters. Bank of Russia Governor Olivera Nabulina said in June that banks from several countries are going to join the SPFS. All right, so brothers will have to look into what banks and the countries um, that have this system in play. Okay. It says China has effectively developed a dual banking system, enabling one set of banks to work with the U.S. and another to deal with countries subject to U.S. sanctions. See, so these countries have, China has backdoor deals with these different countries, all right, and they're also dealing when it comes down to making money off the U.S. That's why when you go into the Book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, even though you're hearing of these wars and rumors of wars and these different conflicts amongst themselves, um, when America gets burnt by the thermonuclear missiles, okay, these countries are going to wail. All right, they're going to cry afar off, seeing that this place was greatly destroyed because of the fact that they make money off each other. All right, they're in lead with each other. Okay, let me see if I could get to it. Let me start at verse 7. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at verse. I'm gonna start at verse 5. It says, "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities." It says, "Remember her." I'm sorry, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cups which she have filled, filled to her double. How much she have glorified herself. All right, and we know that America, okay, is that wealthy. Let me see if I can get it. I believe it's Jeremiah. It's that place that dwelleth with ease. Let me see. It's Jeremiah 49. Yep. Jeremiah 49. It's that place that dwelleth with ease. All right, that wealthy place that dwelleth with ease. Jeremiah 49 and 31. It says, Arise, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwelleth without care. All right. So America is that place that dwelleth without care, saith the Lord, which have neither gates nor bars, which dwell alone. All right. And when you read back here, it says, how much she have glorified herself and lived deliciously. All right. She's living deliciously. She's living without care. She, America, the she, because she rideth on that, the beast, which represents the NATO. Okay. North Atlantic Treaty Organization. All right, so America has been living comfortably. Okay, and you can see it within these people. These people drive reckless on the road. All right, the fast food places are all the way around the block. You know what I'm saying? People are fat as hell. Okay, the American people have become dumbed down. You know, the spirit of America shows that they've been living deliciously and comfortably. Okay, they've been dwelling without care. Okay, it says so much torment and sorrow give her. Okay, and that's what's coming to America: torment and sorrow. For she have said in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow. Okay, remember everybody's joined unto America. All right, you have NATO, the EU, the allies. Okay, but guess what? What did it tell you in Jeremiah? It says which dwell alone, because pretty soon, everybody's gonna get ready to turn their backs on America. All right, and that's what's gonna be the ultimate end of America. All right. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord power who judgeth her, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off from the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Okay, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth the merchandise anymore. All right, because what has America come into? America has came into a consuming nation. All right, it has become a consumer. All right, so one of the major imports and exports uh, that America is aligned to is China. All right, China sends forth goods from over there all the way over here. Okay, because America has become a major consuming nation. All right, so you see that these other nations do have deals amongst themselves. All right, that's why they're going to wail, because when this place gets burned by thermonuclear missiles, all right, they're not going to be able to make any money anymore. But at that time, Yahweh Shah is going to return, and he's going to come and subjugate you other nations at the same time. All right. It's going to be new management on the planet Earth. All right, ran by the Israelites. Okay. It says, so let me read back in the article. It says China has effectively developed a dual banking system, enabling one set of banks to work with the U.S. and another to deal with countries subject to U.S. sanctions. Also, the People Bank of China allows currency swaps between partners banks to support non-dollar based trades in the Asian region. And China has developed the China International Payment System, which is the CIPS, to enable clearing and settlements for cross-border renminbi based trades. RT reported in March that several Russian banks have joined the CIPS to facilitate payments transactions with China. The BRICS initiative faces an uphill struggle as banks participating in a potentially sanction busting alternatives to SWIFT could risk retribution. It says establishing an alternative payment system to bypass US, EU, and UN sanctions would be seen as provocated, said UK-based consultant Bob Liddon. No banks would participate if it felt at risk of being taken off SWIFT or excluded from US dollar correspondent banking services. Big Chinese and Turkish banks, especially Turkish banks controlled by European banks, have far more diverse businesses that just trading with the BRICS countries and would not participate in the BRICS system if they risk losing their access to SWIFT. Without these banks, the BRICS system cannot fly. All right, which is still going on and they're still maintaining. All right, because this was some time back in 2019. All right. So it says also there's a risk of further straining what are already difficult trading relationships between the U.S. and China and other countries. So I'm gonna read a little bit more, and I'll little one. I'll just post this in the description box, and y'all bros can read into it yourself. It says countries like Turkey and China have reasons to not antagonize the U.S. as their interests in the U.S. dollar and financial system transactions are now, in the near term, more compelling than any interest served by a Russian-built alternative payment platform limited to a handful of countries. Abdel Hadi, principal attorney of Mass Point Legal and Strategy Advisory in Washington, D.C. But ultimately, these countries' long-term goals might be decisive. If BRICS countries and other nations see long-term systematic benefits in alternative payment infrastructures, they may be more willing to endure any near-term costs. All right, and it has been beneficial amongst these different countries. Okay, and that's why they're working alongside each other. And on top of that, it's Bible prophecy. All right, it's all part of Bible prophecy. Okay, that these countries were going to align themselves with the big bear, because when you go into Revelation the 13th chapter and the second verse, it says that the head was the leopard, all right, which is representing the start of the Greek Empire, dealing with Alexander, all right, the Lord using Alexander to conquer the other nation, and then him spreading forth his kingdom, okay, amongst his four generals, which was Laxamachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucus. And then out of those two, you had the Seleucus and the Ptolemy, okay, empires that expanded. All right, and then later on, you had the Roman Empire. Then the Lord put the Edomites down, okay, for that 1,000-year period. All right, shut them up, put them into the caves, and then they came back, starting around like the 1300s, going up into this present time, uh, taking over the Renaissance era, which is known as during the time of the Byzantine Empire, all right, where Jake came into power, okay, and then now they have conquered up until this very point, and now we're here at the final points of where we get into the end of this thing, man. All right, where we're literally seeing the end of America as we know it, and all these things are gonna uh entail of America being hit by the waves of thermonuclear missiles. Okay, we're actually seeing the fall of this place. All right, you know, it says Gomer and all his bands, Ezekiel 38:6. Gomer and all his bands in the house of Togama of the north quarters, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Okay, it says after many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord power, it shall also come to pass that in the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, I will go to them that are at rest. Okay, because America, those that are at rest, okay, this place is going to be invaded. All right, it's going to be invaded. Okay, and see, these simple Americans think that America cannot be invaded. All right, because they have this outlandish army, all right, which people even in the army right now, they're afraid. You got women that are afraid, they're crying, because they I gotta go to war, any day now I could get sent out. Well, we told you never to join the army, man. All right, you people have been at rest for so long. Now it's time for you to feel that sorrow. You've been at peace, you've been at mirth. Okay, now it's time for you to feel the wrath of Yahweh Shem Shai. It says that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. All right, because when it comes time for this place to be ultimately desolate, all right, and there's nothing that's going to stop this place from being invaded, or for this place actually being destroyed by those nuclear missiles. Okay, because those warheads that in his missiles, the Lord's Spirit is going to actually be on those warheads. Okay, and they're going to hit their target pursuant to the book of Joel, the 2nd chapter. All right, that's a bad chapter right there. It says, so I'm gonna go to Jeremiah 49:33. It says, I'm sorry, in 32 it says, and their camels shall be a booty, and a multitude of their cattle a spoil, and I will scatter into all winds them that are in the utmost corners, and I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, saith the Lord. All right, now the calamity that the Lord's going to bring from all sides, okay, which is going to be of these other nations. Okay, there. I'm sorry, not the other nations, the those that are aligned with NATO. Okay, because you have what in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, you have about 27 countries, all right, that have aligned themselves since the time that they started. And when they first started, it was only 10. It was only 10. Okay, which is known as the 10 horns. Okay, in Revelation 17:12, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. Okay, and when you go back into the who those 10 horns are, I believe it is Belgium, Denmark, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Greece, Spain, Portugal, England, Ireland, and West Germany. Those are part of the 10. Okay, which have received no kingdom as of yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. All right, which the beast represented NATO. All right, which NATO was formed August 4th, 19, was it 1949? Okay, it says, "These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. They shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of Lords." All right. So this when World War III takes place, guess who's gonna arise? Yahweh Shai. He's coming with the fathership. Okay. And it tell you in the book of Psalms, the 68th chapter, that the chariots of the Lords are 20,000, even thousands of thousands. Okay, so the Lord is coming with a very exceeding and great army. Okay, all for the deliverance of the children of Israel. All right, which the Lord's going to deliver the elect in these times. It says, "And kings of kings and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful." All right, the chosen of the chosen, the elect of Yasharallah. And he said unto me, "The waters which thou sawest, where the horse sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues." All right. Going back into the Prince of Tyrus. All right. Dealing with these elites. Okay. They're sitting upon the people. All right. Representing the waters. Okay. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. All right. So these other nations are going to turn their back on her. All right. For the Most High have put in their hearts to fulfill His will. All right, when you go into Proverbs, the 21st chapter, in the first verse, the Lord say He turns the hearts of the kings. Okay, just as the path of the rivers go, that's how the Lord directs the king's minds. All right, these rulers' minds. All right, that have this nuclear capability. So it's all to fulfill Yahweh Shema Shai's will. It says, "And to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled." And that's why these Christians, they don't go into prophecy, all right, because they don't know prophecy, all right, because these Christians are saying pray for those in Ukraine, pray that we don't go to World War III. No, the Most High, all right, whose true name is Yahweh, He said He put this in their heart to fulfill His will. Okay, and this is what will be done. All right, shall the Most High's words go out void? No. All right. So going back into Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 32, "And their camels shall be a booty, and the multitude of their cattle a spoil, and I will scatter into all winds them that are in the utmost corners, and I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof," said the Lord. And Hazar, which when you look into the word Hazar, it goes back into um Khatazawar, which means a castle or village. All right. So when those missiles get sent forth, they're going to break down this stronghold that has been a hammer over the whole earth. All right. Really a thorn in the whole earth. All right. Because ever since Esau has came into power, the whole earth has been languishing. Okay. And that's why the scriptures say, when the wicked, let me get that real fast. That's a beautiful scripture. Let me get it. Um, uh, yeah, let me see. I think it's in Proverbs. There it is. Proverbs 29 and 20. I'm sorry, Proverbs 29 and 2. "When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn." You see, so ever since the devil has come into power, the people have been mourning. All right. And so when those missiles get sent forth and the Lord comes and saves the elect, all right, the earth is going to be able to be restored. And even over that course of that 1,000 period of time, when you other nations have to serve for your punishment for what you have done to the Lord chosen people, you're gonna get your lands back. All right, and you're gonna have to worship our God, but everything how we're gonna deal in righteousness, all right, you know. And then the only one that's not gonna get nothing is Esau, because his judgment is to be bundled together and burned by fire. All right, gone as a distant dream. And Hazar shall be a dwelling for dragons and a desolation forever. There shall no man abide there, nor any sons of man dwell in it. All right, and that precept goes with Isaiah. You could read from the 13th chapter, the 19th verse, all the way down, because Babylon's days are not going to be prolonged. We are witnessing the downfall of this place, and Lord willing, it is this year. So that's pretty much all I have. I hope that, what I brought out through the Spirit and Power of Yahweh Shema Shai made sense. It was edifying to those that tuned in. I want to say the water for those that tuned in. And, may Yahweh Shema Shai keep bringing forth prophecy, bringing forth the downfall of this wicked kingdom, and then raising back up the sincere brothers and the sincere sisters, all right, the elect and 1/3 in these last days that we are truly living in, all right? And it's a time to stay strong, stay close to the waters. Keep learning from whom you have learned from, the apostles, the elders, a great millstone, and just keep doing what you got to do through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai to receive your crown. So with that, I want to say Shalom Akim.